Is it working now? Hello? Okay, I think it's working. Hello? Okay. Cool. Can you guys hear me and see me? Okay, awesome. It's working. Okay, so it's working, correct? Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're gonna deploy today, and yeah, basically just get a CodeIgniter project up and running on the web, on the server. So basically, what we're gonna do today is start AWS instance. Then we're going to install software, which will be LampStack, what you guys learned, and then we will download, run CodeIgniter, and finally test CodeIgniter on the web. Okay, cool. Uh, yeah, so that's basically it. The first step is to start a new Amazon Web Services instance. That's basically, we go to aws.amazon.com, and this is basically just a server that's somewhere provided by Amazon. So let me log in. So here I'm logged in into my account, and you can basically choose where you want your server to be, like the physical location of your server in the data center of Amazon. I'm the US, so I usually pick Oregon. There's a, like for you guys, Ireland is usually a good destination for all of Europe. So I'll choose Oregon because it's closer to me. And then I'm going to go to EC2, which is the service provided by Amazon. And then here I can see my instances. So this is just a small overview of the instances I have and how the service is running below. So I only have one instance, which is running. I'm going to launch a new instance. So these are the OSs that are available on Amazon Web Services. For our purposes, we'll use Ubuntu Server, which is based on Linux. So we launch this. We say micro. This is just the instance type. This is the amount of CPUs, how many RAM it has. For our case, micro is perfect. This also has a free tier. So that's great. So we review. For most of these, you can just click continue, and launch. So we're going to launch. Now, it's asking about an existing key pair. So key pair is how you log in to your server. That's basically like your password, so to speak. So we're going to create a new key pair, which is going to call demo. And that will basically be our password for this server. And launching. Cool, so it's now launching. Now we view our instances. And here it is, it's initializing. Okay, so below here we can see all the information about our server. This is simple description, and this is the IP address, the public IP address. So before you have a domain, everything goes through the IP address. A domain is just a shorthand way of showing the domain. So right now we have nothing running, so it won't actually go to the website. But this is the URL you'll be using before you get a domain. This is the IP address of your server. Then some simple status checks. Here you can see the usage of your server. Right now it's just beginning, so it's empty. And that's basically it. One important part is security groups. So security groups is basically what type of data can your server get and send. So this will be a web server. So for the web server, we need HTTP. So it's this one. Edit inbound rules. So Amazon Web Services will not allow any connection unless you allow it. So this is SSH on the port. This is what we will use to connect to a server. But because this will be a web server, we also need HTTP, which runs on port 80. So we add that rule, that security group, and now any request on port 80 will be allowed to go into a server and not run anything. Okay. So our instance should be up and running now. So now how do we connect to that instance? Well, first we need to get our key, which is basically like our password. So let me move this from here to my desktop. Okay, there it is. And we do all of this through the terminal. So we go to desktop and we can see our key. And the way we log in is through SSH. SSH is secure shell, and it's just a way to connect into the terminal of your server. So we say SSH -E. -E will be the key you're using, which is basically this PEM, which is like your password. So then with that PEM, now comes the username of the server. And because this is an Ubuntu server, the default username is Ubuntu. And the IP address of your server. And on our case, the IP address is this one. So we want to log in here. Do you want to add a key? Yes. Okay, it says that we have an unprotected private key file. This is just a protection that will not allow you to log in if the access for this file are to open. So to change that, we basically just have to chmod 400 demo.pem chmod. Oh, I had a typo there. Okay, cool. So now this changed the permission for this file, and 400 basically means that only I can access this file. So now that the file is fine, we try to log in. Okay, cool. Now it says Ubuntu IP address and the internal IP address of the server. So now we're logged in into the server. So basically everything I run here is not being run on my computer, but it's running on the server, which is on Oregon in my case. And now the first step whenever you get into a server is always to update it. Update apt-get sudo apt-get update. Cool. Let me make this bigger. Probably that's better for you guys. Okay. So we have the latest version of the packages now. Now we need to install LAMP, basically. So what you guys learned is LAMP, which basically stands for Linux. A stands for Apache. M stands for MySQL. And P stands for PHP. Linux is just the OS in which the browser that's running your stack runs on. So Ubuntu runs on Linux, so that's the L. The second step is Apache. Apache is just a reverse proxy, is the name of it. And it's basically just a high-performance web server, which is the first thing that will, it is what will basically run your PHP. So we need to install Apache now. And there's a very good tutorial on how to do that by LAMP install LAMP Ubuntu 16.04. 16.04 is just a version. So this is a pretty good tutorial which we will follow. I'll also post it on Slack. And it's a very good overview of what we need to get up and running with a LAMP stack. So our first thing is update sudo apt-get. That's always the first thing you do when you get into a new server. Then you need to install Apache 2. So sudo apt-get Apache 2. And apt-get is just a package manager, and it's a way of installing packages in Ubuntu. Okay, so I installed. So Apache should be up and working now. And to test that, we should be able to access our web server from the web. Awesome. So here it is. So Apache is running. So whenever we go to our server IP address, we see our website basically. So this is our server. So that means that Apache installed correctly. And yeah, that's great. Now we need the next part, which is let's install MySQL now. Yeah, Apache M stands for MySQL, so let's install MySQL. This is just some extra configuration. If you want to have your a domain, for example, instead of having the IP address have something.com, you basically have to set it here. It also shows a warning, but that's really just a warning. Actually, yeah, let's configure that. So for that, we basically all of your configuration is on this file inside etc apache2 apache2.conf. So sudo vim. I usually prefer vim instead of nano for editing files, and vim is just like a simpler version of Sublime or Atom. So sudo vim etc apache2 and apache2.conf. So here is all our configuration files. Usually you don't need to change this. It's already yeah, it has good defaults. Okay, so let's insert our server name. Let's check if we have it here. It doesn't exist. So server name, let me make a new line here. Server name. Whenever when you buy a domain, this will be like yourdomain.com. But right now we don't have a domain, so it's just our IP address. Let me copy it from here. Okay, cool. So that will remove the warning, the syntax warning we get. Okay. We check if there's any syntax warning in our configuration. Syntax okay, that means that everything should be working fine. And and whenever you change something in Apache, you need to restart it. And basically it's with this. So sudo systemctl Apache 2. And here you can, if you want to stop your web server, you can stop it with stop, you can start it with start, or restart to restart the sudo systemctl. Let's see. No press on Apache 2. Okay, yeah, it's restart first. Sudo systemctl restart Apache 2. Yeah. Sudo. Yeah, let me just copy it from here. Yeah, so you change Apache file. So let's restart it. Okay, cool. That should be using our new configuration file. Let's test. We get this. Everything's working fine. Perfect. Okay. Now this is already enabled by default. So yeah, we can. Yeah, this is already enabled for default, so we don't really need to do this. And this is basically what we get. So you guys can read this if you want to know like what it means, but it's not really necessary. So I'm just going to skip this part. And then here's how to find your public IP address. We basically already have it here. So I'm also going to skip this part. And now MySQL. So we need to install MySQL into our server. So we get MySQL with apt-get. So this basically is just our password. Our password, let's have it root. Root. Okay. This will install everything else. And then we have to run this to install it. So we get everything. Let's wait for this to finish. Okay, cool. Now we have this. Then we install it with this. Password for the root user, we just put it above, and it's root. Yeah, so no, right now, because this will be a private, only we can access this database. So it's fine. Change the password for root. No. Remove anonymous users. Yes. So yeah, anonymous users just basically that anyone can log in without using your username and password. So we don't want that because only we want to be able to log into it. And yes, we will only allow connections from localhost. That is within the server itself. So yeah, we only want the server PHP to connect to MySQL. Yeah, remove the. Yeah, it has a simple database. Remove it. Yes. Reload privilege table. Yes, cool. Hold on. So that should install MySQL. Now, how do we run it? We don't have MySQL workbench here, so everything goes through the command line. So we say MySQL -p for a user, and that's -u with our username, and in our case it's root. So enter. Password it's root as well. Enter. Cool. So now we're basically on MySQL inside the server. So show databases. There it is. Then let's create database test. So databases. Cool. There it is. Yeah. So basically everything goes through here. Now, if you have a schema on MySQL Workbench, what you have to do is when you forward engineer it. So let me open MySQL Workbench. When you forward engineer, you will get your. Let's use this example they have here. Yeah. So let's say you have your ERD and you want to create it on your database. So you do it as usual. You forward engineer. Let's wait for it. Okay, cool. So continue. Continue. Okay, that's fine. Continue. And this is what you need to use on your server. So basically you select everything, you copy it, and you run it here. So you basically paste it. And yeah, paste these tabs. And this will basically create our database. Our ERD will replicate the database here. So now let's see if it created that database and show databases. Cool, there it is. So it basically created the database. Now if you want to see the tables or something, you first have to select the database. And select it with use Sakila, and then show tables. Cool, and it shows the tables. And yeah, this is normal SQL now. Select everything from actual, for example, and it's empty. So MySQL is running now. So let's exit. So now we install MySQL. Now let's go to the next step on deployment, which should be MySQL is running. We already did installation, which is PHP now. And again, for installing PHP, you use apt-get, which is the package manager. So installing, yes. This will basically install it. Okay. Okay, cool. Now the next step is make sure that our web server uses index.php as its method of delivering files instead of index.html. And how we do that is basically following our Apache configuration file. So let's say sudo vim this file, and we have to change index.php into here. So this is the order of the files that it will use. So if there's an index.php file, it will load that one. If there isn't an index.php file, then it will show that .html. Else it will go for the CHI one, then the Perl, and then all the way back to other file types. Cool. So now, yeah, we basically told it we want to use PHP. And now, yeah, we made a change on Apache, so we restarted. So sudo system ctl restart Apache 2. It's this sudo system. Yeah, I had a typo. Restart Apache 2. Okay, so our new configuration file is up and running now. Okay, this is a PHP module. We don't need it, so I'm just going to skip through this as well. Now here, so testing. So all your project files will be under this folder, var www. So here we have HTML, which is the default file, but here you will have your project, which will be a folder with your project. So let's go to HTML. So this is the files that are Apache serving. So, and now it's only serving index.html. So index.html, this one, is basically this. So let's create a new one to test PHP. So let's touch sudo touch a new file called info.php, and let's modify info.php. Sudo vim info.php. Okay. So here we open our PHP tags, and let's only show PHP info, which is just our PHP configuration files. Okay, so now if we go to our server URL /info.php, we should be able to see this, which is the PHP info command we just typed, and this is all of our configuration files for PHP. So that means PHP is working as well. Now let's see, and we're done. So we have the LAMP stack running. So we have LAMP stack running. What we need to do now is install CodeIgniter. So we know that PHP works, we know that Apache works, we know that MySQL works. We're only missing our project with CodeIgniter. So how would you usually do this? Is that inside here you include your project, which are all of your CodeIgniter files, and you do it through GitHub. So let's say you have a CodeIgniter project. For example, this is a CodeIgniter project. Let's say you have this project, so you basically just clone it on your server. So git clone and the GitHub URL. Oh, permission denied. Whenever you get permission denied, you usually need sudo before it. So sudo git clone and the URL. So now that will bring the project and ls. Here it is. So this is the Sacramento project. So that's how you include your that's how you move your project files from your computer to a server through Git. But we're not going to use that one now. So sudo remove.rf Sacramento. So let me remove the folder and let me include a CodeIgniter, a blank CodeIgniter project. So CodeIgniter, we go to download. Okay, and here I will get the copy link address, and I will use something called wget. This will basically download the folder, that file into this computer. And there it is, 3.1.4.zip. Now we need to unzip that folder, and we do it through a thing called unzip. So unzip 3. Okay, it's not installed. Sudo apt-get. This will install. No, it's sudo install. So let's install unzip. Now we have it, so we should be able to run. Oh, sudo. Cool, there it is. So so that's our CodeIgniter project, the blank CodeIgniter project. And let's remove 3. We don't need this. Sudo. Let's remove this folder, this file, and now we have CodeIgniter. Now let's rename CodeIgniter, and renaming is basically moving on a Linux machine. So CodeIgniter, let's call it CodeIgniter. CodeIgniter. Okay, cool. So we have CodeIgniter. So let's see what do we need to do. There's also a very good tutorial from DigitalOcean of how to get up and running with CodeIgniter. Install CodeIgniter. Yeah, so DigitalOcean, they provide servers just as Amazon Web Services, but they have really good tutorials, so I usually follow the tutorials. So it's basically what we already did. We'll just get our project, then unzip it, and should be fine. However, we're unable to access it because we need to tell our Apache that a root of the document will no longer be HTML. Yeah, so instead of our server to access the HTML folder, we wanted to access the CodeIgniter folder with all project files. And we do that with on this file. So this is the default configuration file. So we say sudo vim etc apache 2 sites enable 00 dot configuration file. So basically here it is, document root. So instead of this, we want the name of the folder which contains our project. On my case, it's CodeIgniter. So we save it, and because we changed something Apache, we need to restart it. So sudo systemctl restart Apache 2. Awesome, it restarted. Now we're already using CodeIgniter, and we're already using PHP files instead of HTML files. So whenever I go to my server's IP address, which we have it here, it should load CodeIgniter. Awesome, we'll go to CodeIgniter. So we have CodeIgniter running. Let's let's test our default controller. So let's create a new function. So let me change CodeIgniter. Let me change application, controllers, welcome.php. Let me create a public function test, and let's let me pass a param to it, just so we know that everything's working fine. And then let's just echo an h1 tag that says on the CodeIgniter on the project, and then let me echo run. Okay, so now when we go to welcome slash, you call it test? Yeah, I call it test. Slash test slash the param, we get not found. That is because we're missing index.php. And there it is on the project, and the param we send it to it. So routes are working. Let's first get rid of this index.php now. And we get rid of it with that .ht access you guys have access to on the platform. So we are in, so we sudo touch.ht access, sudo touch.ht access, sudo bin.ht access. Okay, and this should have the contents of, let me change to developer, let me change to PHP, let me make this bigger, ls-a.ht access. So let me open it on Sublime, and there it is. Should open on this screen, let me move it here. Okay, so this is our ht access, and this should come to our server. So probably you guys will already have this if you use your project instead of a new project. And this is just rewriting. The important one is this one. So basically, we rewrite everything that we get, and we add the index.php to it internally so that it works. Okay. So now let's try it again without the index.php. And it says it couldn't find it. And that is probably because we need to also allow rewriting from the server configuration. Let's see. So we're basically doing that right here. This is the function we just wrote. And inside CodeIgniter application config.php. There should be index page, this index page. It will be an empty string. Now let's see if that fixes it. Yeah, then if the rewritten one is enabled by default, it usually is. Oh, this is what we're missing. Yeah, so this is already enabled by default. So this is just if we want to allow our web server to rewrite the request. And we want to rewrite the request because we do not want the index.php. Let's see, rewrite. I don't see it. Show rewrite underscore module. Yeah, it's not enabled by default then. Okay, and how we enable it is basically with this command. So it's pretty straightforward. With sudo. And let's see. Okay, rewrite module. Here it is. Cool. So we are now allowing rewrites from our application. And however, we still need to tell our web server that we want to allow it. And we do that with the file we edited not so long ago. So we say sudo vim etc apache2 sites enabled 00 default.conf. Okay, here. So here we basically add directory. We say var www CodeIgniter, and whenever we have in here will be we'll rewrite some parts of our request, and that's what we are allowing. So we basically want all of this. Let me just paste it here. And the important one is this one. So this is allows a request. This can also deny it. This allows some links which are pointers to other files. Okay, so we wrote this already. Now this should be allowing override, which should get rid of the index.php on our htaccess. And that's sudo systemctl restart apache2. Cool. Cool. Should be working now. So without, okay, awesome. So it worked. So now it works without the index.php. And yeah, that's basically it. We got a CodeIgniter project. Oh, now we're missing the database. So let's just, and the values for database are basically the same here. So sudo vim application config database.php. Let's go the way down. Hostname is localhost as well. Username is root. Password is root. Database will be your database. Let's just have your database. Let me put your database here. Database. And that should connect to a database. And the models, everything else should be working just as you guys are used to. And that basically gets a CodeIgniter project on the web. Did we miss something? Yeah, so we started an AWS instance. We installed LAMP. Then we run CodeIgniter, and we can access it to our web. Let's do something else, and let's get an actual URL for it. So let's get an URL for the server. Okay, so for this, it depends whenever you guys buy your URL from. So I usually use Namecheap, but it doesn't really matter. It can be pretty much any provider. So let's go to my personal domain, and this, for example, on this, how you do this will change depending on which provider you have, and every provider usually has instructions. Namecheap, for example, Namecheap add subdomain, and it has a tutorial of how to do it. Yes, for example, if you guys, instead of using Namecheap, use GoDaddy or domain.com, for example, they have a different way of doing it, and they will have instructions of how to do it. So let's add a new record, an A record. So usually if you have an IP address, it will be an A record. If you have if you guys deploy something on like Heroku, where you do not have an IP address, but you have a string, then it will be a CNAME. On our case, it's an A record. On host, let's have a demo. And on IP address, it's our server's public IP address. Template automatic. Okay, so this, our host, is demo. So basically now, when we go to demo dot my domain, we should go to our server. However, right now it's not working because the DNS takes a time. So usually you have to wait like 10 or 15 minutes for the DNS to update and start using this URL pointing to your server. So while the DNS is refreshing, we can we need to tell our web server which domain we're using, and that's basically changing our, no, it isn't here. It's here when we set our server name, set Apache. So sudo beam etc apache 2 apache2.com. So here, instead of our IP address, we will use a domain which will be demo.dvj.io. Okay, now sudo. Now we change something Apache, so we need to restart Apache. Systemctl Apache 2. Cool. So now this should be working now. This one should still work. However, when you go to demo.dvj.io, it's still refreshing the DNS. That usually takes like 10 to 15 minutes, up to like half an hour. But basically after DNS refreshes, which will be like in 20 minutes, we'll be able to go to demo.dvj.io, and that will go to, that is pointed through DNS to our server, which is this IP address, and our server will respond with our CodeIgniter project. Here is the welcome. So that's basically it. Let me get this next because it's working now. And that's basically it. So we started an AWS instance, which is an Ubuntu server somewhere inside an Amazon data center. Then LAMP, which is L Linux, which is just Ubuntu. Apache, which is basically a server which handles the request and then forwards the request to PHP. MySQL, which is just a database you guys are used to, and PHP, which is the language, server-side language, which you guys are used to as well. Run CodeIgniter. On my case, I use like a new version of CodeIgniter. On your case, you guys get it from GitHub, basically. And testing, which is basically just going to your public IP address from the web. And and we created an actual URL for our demo. Let's see if it works now. Demo.dvj.io. Still no. It takes like 20 minutes. But most likely like in 20 minutes from now, you guys will be able to go to demo.dvj.io and it will be up and running. Or if you guys see the video later on, it will be up. Most likely it will still be working on demo.dvj.io. So that's basically it. If you guys have any questions, something you guys didn't understand, let me know. I'll post these links to Slack so you guys have access to them. They are pretty great tutorials. So you guys, if you forget something, you can just follow these ones. They're great. And if you guys have any problem whatsoever, feel free to let me know. I'm here to help you guys. And I think that's pretty much it for now. If you guys have any question, you can follow up on Slack. So that's basically it. So happy coding.